After a night out with friends, University of South Carolina senior Samantha Josephson hopped into a vehicle she mistakenly believed was her Uber ride. Less than an hour later, she was fighting for her life in the back seat of a stranger's car. The following day, hunters discovered Samantha's body, leading to a manhunt for a killer cabbie.
Abnormia.
Welcome to Murder You, an Abnormia original, a true crime series exploring the most shocking murders worldwide. I'm your host, Maddie. Today's chilling episode is the Uber murder. Before we begin, please like and subscribe to our channel for all the latest Murder You content. Let's get started. The case I have for you today is every girl's worst nightmare. We're all conscious that dangerous predators lurk among us and often look like the boy next door, but no one expects to be kidnapped and physically attacked when they're using a trusted ride-sharing app to get home. Samantha Josephson was born to Seymour and Marcy Josephson in Princeton, New Jersey. She was an excellent high school and college student, and her friends and family affectionately called her Sammy. While at the University of South Carolina, Samantha joined the Alpha Gamma Delta sorority, studied abroad in Barcelona, and visited Madrid and Paris. She was a senior in the spring of 2019, just months away from graduating and entering law school. She had earned a full scholarship to Drexel University and a partial scholarship to Rutgers. She aspired to practice international law and was well on her way to achieving that goal. However, one fateful night would erase all the hard work Samantha had put into achieving her dreams. The image of Sammy's heinous murder is a nightmare that still haunts her parents. Her dream was my dream, and her death was my death, Samantha's mother said. I close my eyes, and I feel what she endured at her killer's hands, over and over and over, fighting for her life, locked in his car. On Thursday, March 28th, 2019, Samantha Josephson went out with a group of friends to the Five Points neighborhood in Columbia. The group ended up at the Bird Dog Bar on Hardin Street. That night, Samantha kept in contact with her boyfriend in Mount Pleasant, Greg Corbishley, throughout the evening via phone calls, text messages, and FaceTime conversations. At approximately 2:04 a.m., Samantha called Corbishley to inform him that she ordered an Uber to take her home to her apartment at the Hub on Main Street. The couple ended the phone call, but Corbishley continued to track Samantha's location via the Find My Friends feature on her iPhone. He testified that it was normal for him to monitor Sammy's location on nights out to ensure she made it home safely. While tracking her location, Corbishley noticed that Samantha's path of travel was south of the Five Points neighborhood, the opposite direction a person would travel from the Bird Dog Bar to the Hub apartments. Corbishley called, texted, and Snapchatted Samantha several times without a response. Around 2:30 a.m., he noticed his girlfriend's location had been turned off. Her last pinned location was at Montgomery Avenue and South Ott Road in the Rosewood area. Corbishley testified that because Samantha never turned off her location during their relationship, he initially surmised she had accidentally dropped her phone in the Uber on the ride home. He exchanged text messages explaining the situation with Samantha's roommates around 3:30 a.m., but he fell asleep around 5 a.m. When he woke up around 11 a.m. on March 29th, Corbishley saw messages from his girlfriend's roommates stating that she had never returned home. He also learned she had not shown up for work at the Liberty Tap Room in Vista. Samantha's roommates were so worried that they called 911 to report their roommate missing. In the desperate 911 call, her roommate explained the situation to law enforcement. We went out in Five Points last night, and she still hasn't made it home. Her phone's dead. We don't think she went home with a guy or anything. We're actually worried. She missed work this morning. An officer responded to the Hub apartments and spoke to Samantha's roommates. The officer gathered information to file a missing person report and issue a "Be on the lookout" or BOLO to the police department and the public. At 5:37 p.m., all Columbia Police Department employees received an email from investigator Chris Odom requesting assistance locating Samantha. A missing person awareness bulletin attached to the email included her photograph, information, and the following details about her disappearance. The Columbia Police Department's Special Victims Unit is seeking information leading to the location of the above missing individual. Josephson was last seen outside of Bird Dog in 5 Points around 2 this morning. Before the phone went dead, it was being tracked by her boyfriend. The last location was in the Rosewood area. Josephson was last seen wearing an orange top and black jeans. Josephson did not show up for work this morning. Law enforcement, friends, and family began searching for Samantha. They initially searched her last known location in Rosewood, but found nothing. The group then visited the Bird Dog Bar in 5 Points, where her friends last saw her and where she told her boyfriend she was returning home from the previous night. The Bird Dog staff provided the authorities with video surveillance from outside the bar, where they saw Josephson enter a black Chevrolet Impala. At 7:10 p.m., all Columbia Police Department employees received an updated BOLO for Samantha that read, "There is video of the victim getting into a black Chevy Impala, newer model." The BOLO also included a still shot of the vehicle. Officer Jeffrey Kraft with the City of Columbia Police Department began his shift at 6 p.m. on Friday, March 29th. When his shift started, Officer Kraft was aware of Samantha Josephson's status as a missing person and the circumstances surrounding her disappearance, based on the 2 BOLO emails the police department employees received. That night, as part of his regular duty, Officer Kraft patrolled the 5 Points and Rosewood areas. At approximately 2:33 a.m. on Saturday, March 30th, Officer Kraft noticed a newer model black Chevrolet Impala that matched the vehicle in the BOLO traveling north on Hardin Street, heading into the 5 Points district. Officer Kraft got behind the car as it turned left at the intersection of Hardin and Blossom Streets, approximately 2 blocks from where Samantha was last seen 24 hours prior at the Bird Dog. As the Impala turned onto Blossom Street, Officer Kraft activated his blue lights to initiate a traffic stop. The Impala continued to travel on Blossom Street before improperly turning left onto Saluda Avenue and coming to a stop facing the wrong way on the one-way road. Officer Kraft approached the vehicle on the driver's side and spoke to the driver, who was later identified as Nathaniel Rowland. There was also a female passenger in the car. Kraft identified himself and asked Rowland for his driver's license, which Rowland admitted he didn't have. Officer Kraft smelled marijuana emanating from the vehicle. When asked who was smoking, Rowland admitted he had been smoking earlier. Officer Kraft ordered Rowland out of the car and informed him he was stopped because his car matched the description of a vehicle suspected of being used in a crime. Before Kraft could finish his statement, Rowland took off running. The officer ordered Rowland to stop, but he did not comply. Kraft initially began pursuing Rowland, but soon returned to the vehicle to guard the passenger. At the same time, other officers chased down Rowland and apprehended him. The woman in the passenger seat was identified as Venetia Wilson, a friend of Rowland who stated they were coming from Rowland's sister's house on Hemphill Road in Rosewood. Officer Kraft began a preliminary search of the car and discovered marijuana shake throughout the vehicle, as well as a rose gold iPhone and a set of keys with a pink key ring labeled Room. Officer Kraft noticed what looked to be bloodstains and footprints on the back interior windows of the car. Cleaning supplies were also scattered throughout the vehicle. While Kraft was securing the car during Nathaniel Rowland's apprehension, he was informed by another officer that Samantha Josephson's body had been discovered by turkey hunters the day before in a remote wooded area in Clarendon County. The officers terminated their preliminary search and waited for crime scene technicians to arrive to process the vehicle and its contents adequately. Investigators searched the trash behind Rowland's girlfriend's residence and uncovered cleaning supplies and a 2-bladed knife, both of which had Josephson's blood on them. Samantha's blood was also found on a sock and a bandana, both owned by Rowland. While searching for fingerprint evidence, investigators uncovered a bare footprint impression on the rear driver's side window of Rowland's Impala. Using latent print analysis, forensic experts matched the patterns on this footprint with the soles of Samantha's bare feet. Josephson's prints were also found on several other items in Rowland's possession. Nathaniel Rowland was indicted for murder, kidnapping, and possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. According to his Facebook page at the time, Rowland attended South Carolina State University in 2017, but he was not a student there at the time of Samantha's killing. Nothing in his character hinted that he would ever commit such a horrendous crime, and Rowland, for his part, pled not guilty, and to this day, he claims he's innocent. During the trial, prosecutors laid out the events leading up to Samantha's brutal murder. They detailed how she enjoyed a night out with her friends, and then, at 2 a.m., decided to leave the Bird Dog bar. She ordered an Uber and told her boyfriend she was catching a ride home. According to surveillance footage, at 2:09, a black Chevrolet Impala, driven by Rowland, pulled up beside her. Josephson entered the vehicle, thinking it was her Uber driver. Rowland then pulled away, acting as her Uber driver. Rowland had smoked weed that evening and might have viewed Samantha as an easy target. Law enforcement officers testified that Rowland activated the child locks so the doors could only be opened from the outside, thereby trapping her inside the vehicle. My guess is he tried to sexually assault or rob Samantha. Either way, he must have been surprised when she put up a fight. Again, we can only speculate, but judging by how much overkill was involved, the killer was angry. Samantha fought to stay alive, but was no match for this evil predator.
Using a two-bladed knife, Rowland stabbed Samantha over 120 times. In fact, the pathologist could not determine the exact number of wounds because there were so many. During the attack, she tried to shield herself. One of Rowland's strikes went completely through her right hand as she tried to block the savage blows.
Rowland stabbed Samantha in the head with enough force that the knife went through her skull to her brain, and her carotid artery was sliced open. Many of the wounds were close together, indicating rapidly inflicted stab wounds. She suffered wounds to her face, neck, shoulder, torso, back, lung, leg, and feet. Samantha bled profusely, ultimately dying within 10 to 20 minutes, according to the pathologist who conducted the autopsy. My guess is it was quicker than that. During the trial, officers explained how Rowland dragged Josephson's body to the new Zion field, where she would later be discovered. According to police, the area where Samantha's body was located is close to where Rowland recently resided. Experts testified that Samantha's blood was found on the interior of Rowland's Chevrolet Impala and the double-bladed knife tool they found in the garbage can at the home of his girlfriend. Other evidence at the trial included cell phone tracking data pinpointing Rowland's location on the night of the crime. DNA collected from Rowland's fingernails matched the victim's genetic material, and the suspect's and victim's DNA were both found on gloves in the trash. The one thing prosecutors didn't have was a motive for this seemingly random yet incredibly savage murder. It seemed like a crime of opportunity. However, only Rowland knows the reason behind the vicious killing, and he refuses to take responsibility. On July 27, 2021, the jury needed little more than an hour to reach a verdict. Nathaniel Rowland was convicted as charged and received life without parole for murder and 5 years for the weapons offense, to be served concurrently. At the sentencing, Rowland's mother told the court that her son was a bright and caring young man who couldn't possibly have committed this crime. Now I know, as a mother, and a mother knows her child. I know my son didn't do it, she said. But it seemed she didn't know her son as well as she thought.
During the July 27, 2021 sentencing hearing, Samantha Josephson's family asked the circuit court judge to sentence Rowland to life in prison. They expressed the pain they endured over the past few years.
Words cannot express the anguish our family and friends have endured since you kidnapped and brutally murdered Samantha, Josephson's mother told the convicted killer. Nathaniel Rowland was also given a chance to speak, and he took the opportunity to reassert his innocence. I know I'm innocent, but I guess what I know and what I think really doesn't matter, Rowland said, adding, I just wish the state would have done more in finding out who the actual person was instead of being satisfied with detaining me and proving my guilt. The judge noted the pain of the parents on both sides, but called his choice to sentence Rowland to life an easy one. He pointed out the avalanche of evidence against Rowland. Samantha's blood was found in the car's passenger side and the trunk. Her cell phone was also discovered in the vehicle. Her skin was found under Rowland's fingernails. There is no perfect crime. Your whole 24 hours was recreated almost minute by minute, mile by mile, digit by digit. That's led you here, and now you've been found guilty, Judge Newman said. The evidence is so substantial in this case, pointing to your guilt, and I re-emphasize it because of the horrific and most brutal nature of this crime. It could not be worse, Newman said. It's the most severe murder that has occurred that I have been a witness to, and whoever asks me for leniency, that's not part of my DNA, the judge told Rowland. The defense motioned for a new trial based on the brevity of the deliberations, but the judge denied the motion. Since you only have one life, that sentence must be served for the remaining days of your natural life, the judge announced before slamming the gavel one last time. For Samantha Josephson's father, thinking about how his daughter was killed was almost too much to bear in the years following her death. Do I tell you that I contemplated suicide several times over the past 28 months? Seymour Josephson said. To me, the monster has stolen that bright light. I try to stop having these thoughts or desires only because I'm afraid of what this would ultimately do to Sydney and Marcy. The Josephsons have made it their mission to ensure that no one else is harmed by getting into the wrong ride-sharing vehicle. They've since started the What's My Name Foundation to educate people about getting into the right cars. The family is working to put signs in airports and on college campuses across the country that encourage people to double-check that their driver's license plate matches the one in the app and that the driver knows their name. Samantha's parents also spearheaded a bill in her honor. Sammy's law makes it illegal for rideshare companies to sell their car logos to non-drivers.
The 2019 murder of University of South Carolina senior Samantha Josephson is one of the most shocking cases we've covered because it was so random and brutal. Ride-sharing apps have become so prevalent in our lives that we scarcely think about getting in a stranger's car. But it also reminds us of the danger of mistakenly getting into the wrong car. So, always be safe and check that the license plate matches the one in the app and that the driver knows your name. Thanks for listening to this episode of Murder Yale.
And remember, advocates at the National Domestic Violence Hotline are available to talk confidentially with anyone in the United States who is experiencing domestic violence, seeking resources or information, or questioning unhealthy aspects of their relationship. Call 1-800-799-SAFE 7233. Be sure to like and subscribe to Murder You on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Abnormia.